Oh, it's Jinder's Gear Reviews.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first in a series of gear reviews, which I'm going to be doing over the coming few months. Basically running through my guitars, amps, mics, cable preferences, interfaces, preamps, all this kind of stuff, PA gear. You know, just sort of talking about the stuff that I use, the stuff I favour, and the things that have, you know, over the last 23 odd years of playing music full time, I've found have worked the best for me. So today I'd like to talk about my flagship guitar, as it were. This is my my main guitar for touring, and I use it quite a bit for sort of writing and recording as well. I tend to often play my friend Alvin Reed's 1967 J45 as well, but this does a lot of the donkey work, as it were. Now this is a 2015 Gibson SJ200 Standard, as you can see there on the truss rod cover, and I've had this guitar since it was new. It's done a lot of miles with me. I've been all over the world with it, and it's a really sturdy, great, reliable, dependable guitar. I love it. It's just dependably good wherever I take it and whatever I plug it into. Now we're talking about a solid, obviously Sitka spruce top, and a very lovely flamed maple back and sides, and you can kind of get a slight idea of it from where you are, but in person, when you're not on camera, the flame is so deep and so kind of three-dimensional that you can almost dive into it. It's a really stunning flame, and that extends all the way up the neck to the back of the headstock, where there are 6, obviously, Grover Rotomatic tuners. These tend to get a little bit of a bad rap amongst purists because they're quite heavy, but I find them, and I have found them, consistently the most reliable machine heads of any I've used over the last 20 plus years. I've had some lovely Klusons and Schallers, all manner of stuff, most of which have fallen apart at some point, you know, let me down. Wilkinsons are very good, but these Grovers for me are the business. I think they're fantastic machine heads, and I've had great results with them. Up the neck, which is a rosewood neck, Indian rosewood, you've got mother of pearl fancy crown inlays to make you look like a country singer, and the old Mustache Bridge, which these guitars are famed for. Now this being a 2015, for the standard models, they got rid of what was known as the second row of ribbons, these mother of pearl inlays that used to sit between the pins and the saddle, and the bridge used to be very slightly further back and the pins would be further away from the saddle, but they did away with the second row of ribbons because it pulled the bridge pins further back from the saddle, and therefore decreased the break angle of the string over the bridge saddle, and as a result that was deleterious to tone. You know, having a shallow break angle, you want a nice fairly steepish break angle. I mean, I have this set up for a fairly low action, but as you can see there's plenty of break over the saddle there. I use a Sunrise pickup, magnetic sound hole pickup, and I know there are people out there who will say, well, you know, a big old heavy magnetic sound hole pickup clamped in there is going to impede the resonance of the top and so forth. I've not found this to be the case with the J200. I've played these guitars for a very long time. Had one previously from 2003, which was my main stage guitar for 11-12 years, and there's so much, to use an Americanism, real estate going on with the top. You know, all of this is in motion, it's all vibrating and so forth, and I find with a smaller guitar, a Sunrise, I mean, I use Sunrise pickups in all my 6-string acoustics, all bar one, and I find that generally with a smaller guitar, the Sunrise can choke the top a tiny bit, but it's worth it in my opinion as a trade-off, because I love the sound of the Sunrise. It's a very fundamental and beautiful sounding magnetic pickup, which they're very rare, kind of handmade thing by Jim Kaufman over in California, but you know, I think they're wonderful. Richard Thompson uses them, and a few other people do as well. And I think, although it's a fairly old design now, the Sunrise, for me, that's the sound of what I do. Personally, with this guitar, I use Newtone Masterclass 12 gauge, 12 to 54 round core strings. I like them because they've got a more sort of warm, you know, kind of slightly more lo-fi sound, I suppose. I mean, if you you know, if you listen to this, they're very kind of a bit more kind of warm and sort of soft in the bottom end, I suppose. I like them. These have been on this guitar for a couple of months now, so they're well worn in, and I've done a few live stream gigs during lockdown with these strings, so they've got a kind of, you know, a nice worn in quality, but the round core strings last a very long time. Personally, I use this guitar for all manner of stuff. I play, you know, I flat pick, I strum, I finger pick. They're an underrated fingerstyle guitar. You know, they've got a real sort of really kind of it's quite punchy for fingerstyle. It's a little bit more broad and less focused and mid-rangey than something like a Martin 000 or even like a little Gibson Blues King L00, something like that. But it's a lovely kind of big sort of that kind of very sort of mellifluous kind of fingerstyle thing going on, but you know, if you hit it with a pick, you get a much more sort of chunky. These guitars tend to compress rather than barking. You know, these big jumbos, they've got a more sort of nice kind of full sounding thing. Ideally, you know, if you get like a stereo pair of mics on it. Today we're going through, for reference, we're going through an SE Electronics Gemini 2, a large diaphragm condenser, which is sort of my all-rounder. I love this mic primarily for vocals, but it does record acoustic guitar very, very well. It's not entirely stock. It has two 1980s Philips military spec valves in it, replacing the stock Chinese valves that it came with, which I whipped out of it as quickly as possible because I'm a bit of a nerd with that kind of thing. But the guitar is, you know, it's great for the kind of the more bluesy sort of stuff. Lovely chunk in the bottom end, that kind of thing. All that sort of thing, and you can, you know, you can flat pick it. You can play kind of bluegrassy sort of. That kind of Townes Van Zandt thing, you know. So yeah, it does a lot of stuff. Something these guitars come in under fire for occasionally is the pickguard, the scratch plate being too thick. The modern standards come with a pickguard which has a rubber coating, which is probably probably about 2 or 3 mil thick over the whole thing. Now this, I'm reluctant to admit, was actually an idea that I suggested to Gibson back in 2005, 6, something like that, when I had an endorsement deal with them, because the design on the pickguard of the J200 that I had at the time, which was an older one, kept wearing off, and I kept buying these expensive hand-painted scratch plates for pick, as we call them, pickguards, to use an Americanism, for the guitar over and over again. I kept buying these pickguards, and the design kept wearing off. And eventually, I spoke to my friend David at Gibson HQ in London, and I said, you know, can you look at changing the design, maybe laminating it somehow? And they went with this sort of rubberized thing, which a lot of people came to refer to as the flubber guard, pickguard, and I find the flubber guard, despite the fact that it was my idea, do tend to sort of dampen the resonance of the top a little bit on these guitars. So with this one, when I fitted the Sunrise pickup, as you can see, I sort of cut a little recess into the pickguard to fit the pickup without it riding up on the pickguard, and I cut it away, and I noticed that the sort of rubber lamination was just starting to come away where I'd cut it, and I thought, I wonder what happens if I just remove it. So I very gently peeled the rubber off the top of the scratch plate, and lo and behold, a beautiful, very thin scratch plate lay underneath, as you just about see that, and it added about sort of 5% to the guitar in terms of sustain and sort of mid-range overtones, that kind of feathery overtone, which there, sort of in the upper mids into the bottom end of the treble, that kind of ring, feathery ring, really beautiful, chiffy kind of overtone. That sort of came out of it, and it made the guitar slightly lighter, and it was a winner all round. I'm not suggesting that all of you rush out there who own one of these and butcher the pickguard with your favourite craft knife, but it helped for me anyway. But yeah, in summary, I love this guitar, and I can't, you know, I wouldn't want to imagine, you know, touring life and everything. Currently, just to give this a sort of a date stamp for future reference, we're currently in the middle of the coronavirus lockdown period, and it's the middle of May 2020, and my entire year's touring has been cancelled. So this is why I have time on my hands to make gear review videos and so forth. Yes, it's been an interesting few months, but when everything gets back to normal and normal service is resumed, I'm looking forward to playing this guitar on the road once more. In terms of for lead playing, I mean, these aren't considered like a lead acoustic. You know, if you wanted something with that real like pop and thick kind of chime, you'd probably play something like a Filed or maybe like a Martin D35. They have a great sort of lead tone, but it doesn't disgrace itself in that regard. It's fine for playing lead. You know, it's not its strength. You know, I think its strength is primarily as a rhythm guitar. They're known as a, you know, for that gorgeous strumming kind of sound, but so there it is, the 2015 Gibson SJ200 Standard, a guitar which I absolutely love, and I would heartily recommend these guitars to anybody. I think they're wonderful instruments, and it has so many associations as well with, you know, with the greats. I mean, I bought an SJ200 originally, you know, 18 odd years ago, because Townes Van Zandt played one ultimately, and you know, I love the music of Townes Van Zandt, and I thought, well, if you know, J200, as they're known, SJ200 is the proper nomenclature, but I thought, you know, if this guitar is good enough for Townes Van Zandt, then you know, I need to have one, because that's what I aspire to, his level of songwriting and stuff, and it's my first one I had for many years, and it was a great companion on the road. It was a lovely, lovely guitar, and eventually I just wore it out. You know, I had the neck reset a couple of times, the headstock repaired after being bashed around in plane holds and whatnot, and it was refretted about 4 times, and I did about 2,000 gigs with it, and it was just worn out, so it got retired, and I replaced it with this one, which is holding up remarkably well. It's still in excellent condition. A little bit of play wear on the top, as you can see, where I've attacked it with a pick, and still the original frets. I haven't even had them dressed, so it's a beautifully made guitar, professional level instrument, but a joy also for anybody, you know, who plays for pleasure, who wants to own you know, a world-class instrument. So heartily recommended, the Gibson SJ200 Standard, this one from 2015. And please hit like and subscribe if you like what you've heard and seen and you'd like to hear some more, and there's lots of videos on my channel of my own music as well, so if you'd like to check out that kind of stuff, you're very welcome. So thank you very much indeed. I'll see you again.